Many people refer to Budapest as one of the most beautiful capitals of Europe. Like the neighboring Vienna and Bratislava, the city lies on the banks of the river Danube. The city is fairly multicolored owing to its geographical situation. It was founded in a place where different types of lands met: the hills and slopes of Transdanubia and the flat surface of the Great Plain. Its 2,000 years of history, however, made the city even more colorful and attractive, leaving its marks on the face of present-day Budapest. The quiet and noble Buda, built on the hills of the West Bank, the pleasant old Buda and the lively Pest stretching on the lowlands of the East Bank were united in 1837. The first people to settle here were the ancient Celts, who called their town Ak-ink, meaning abundant in water. It is the origin of the name Aquincum, given by the Romans to the capital of Pannonia following its conquest in the 1st century AD. The city had 100,000 inhabitants at that time. The memories of that ancient age can still be seen, mainly in present-day Old Buda. The first princes of the conquering Hungarian tribes settled here in the 9th century. Following the destructions caused by the Tatars, Béla IV, the founder of medieval Buda, created a town surrounded by walls and fortified by a tower. During the reign of King Matthias Corvinus, it was the intellectual center of Europe, then became a Turkish town in the 16th-17th centuries, under the rule of the Sultans. The Turkish baths today are memories of that era. The Baroque monuments of the city were built mainly in the 18th century. Budapest started to grow into a big city during the Reform era in the 19th century, when the current structure of the city was constructed with its streets and gorgeous buildings admired by many people. Following the Union in 1837, it was the 1000th anniversary of the Hungarian conquest in 1896 that gave the city a new developing phase. That was the time when the Hero Square and Vajdahunyad Castle were built. The city that was reconstructed from its ruins after the destruction of the Second World War is continuously developing, renewing, changing, even growing, but still cherishing its memories. In the vicinity of the present Elizabeth Bridge, there has always been a crossing point on the river Danube, around which the historical heart of the city was founded. One of the most beautiful promenades of the capital is the Danube Promenade, where the markets sell traditional crafts products. From aboard the pleasure boats passing the site on the river Danube, several pleasant sights come into view. The bridges, the Gellért Hill, the Houses of the Parliament. And the castle. The building of Vigadó is still the home of concerts and other cultural events. Great composers like Liszt, Wagner, Strauss and Bartók used to play here. Vörösmarty Square is the heart of the pulsating and milling inner city. One of the termini of the small underground is located here. When the weather is nice, the terrace of the famous Gerbeaud confectionery offers a delightful view of the city's whirling drifts. The sculpture of the great Hungarian poet Vörösmarty, after whom the square was named, stands in the center. The most elegant and expensive promenade of the city, the Váci Street, starts from here. The decorative pavement of the street incorporates the remains of the old town walls. Between the terraces of confectionaries and cafes, fashion boutiques, traditional crafts and gift shops offer their products. The 100-year-old restaurant. The Baroque Servita Church. And the column of Mary in front are worth mentioning here. The giant building of the town hall was intended to be barracks for war invalids and was built at the same time as the Baroque churches and houses of the city center. In the magnificent building of the Parisian courtyard, pleasant passages connect Petőfi Sándor Street with Kígyó Street and Haris Close. At the dryways of the Elizabeth Bridge, the Clotilde Palaces stand as guards. Built at the turn of the century in Baroque eclectic style, the buildings now give home for shops and offices, a casino and an exhibition hall. The Fountain of the Nereids was the first public fountain of the city ornamented with a sculpture. A remarkable fact about the church standing on Ferenciek Square is that there is a tablet commemorating the hero of the Great Flood of 1838, Baron Wesselényi, the boatman of the flood. Looking at the mark of the water lava, it becomes clear why more than half of the 4,200 buildings of Budapest were destroyed in the flood. The recently renovated Danube Palace stands at the starting point of Váci Street, leading to the Great Market Hall. The attractive Great Market Hall with its brick facade and glazed-tiled roof is situated at the foot of Szabadság Bridge on an area of 10,000 square meters. It proves a very interesting site for every tourist with its lively whirling drifts and huge assortment of goods. The Hungarian National Museum is the first and largest public collection of the country. It was established by Count Ferenc Széchenyi in 1802. The building itself is Mihály Pollak's rightly famous masterpiece. In the classicist-type palace, with a triangular facade ornamented by 8 columns, the history of Hungary and the coronation badges are exhibited. The Museum of Natural Science also exhibits here. Its garden is a very pleasant, relaxing place. Europe's biggest operating synagogue stands at the corner of Kiskerút and Dohány Street, where the collection of Jewish history and religion is exhibited. The Byzantine Moorish-style romantic building was the gate of the Pest ghetto of sad remembrance. It is commemorated by the monument standing in the courtyard. The Danubius fountain, built on Elizabeth Square, is decorated by sculptures symbolizing the rivers of Hungary. St. Stephen Cathedral is the largest church of the capital. The monumental work of József Hild and Miklós Ybl was consecrated in 1905. The majestic building of the former Palace of Exchange now serves as the headquarters of the Hungarian television. The permanently burning Batthyány Eternal Flame commemorates Hungary's first Prime Minister, who was executed here. One of the most beautiful and biggest squares of Budapest is Kossuth Lajos Square. It covers an area of 65,000 square meters, and the Houses of Parliament occupy its side overlooking the Danube. It is the most famous and grandiose building of the country, with fascinating sizes. It is 268 meters long and it's 96 meters high. The Parliament held its first sitting here in the year of the millennium. The palace, resembling the Houses of Parliament in London, was built according to the plans of Imre Steindl in eclectic style. Looking at it in detail, elements of neo-Gothic, Baroque and Renaissance style are recognizable. Tourists are allowed to visit it in groups with a guide. The sculpture of Attila József portrays the great poet sitting on the stairs of the Danube quay. The impressive building of Nyugati railway station was built by the Eiffel Company from Paris on the site of the original watchman's house that started the first train from Pest to Vác in 1846. The busiest main road of Budapest is Nagykörút, with its length of 4 kilometers from Danube to Danube. It is lined by shops, restaurants and cafes on both sides. Víg Színház is one of the 3 theatres of Nagykörút. With its beautiful dome, the neo-Baroque building is the work of Viennese architects from the turn of the century. One of the most beautiful public buildings of Hungary, the Palace of the State Opera House on Andrássy Avenue, is the magnificent work of Miklós Ybl. The edges of the building's middle part are decorated by muses, while the main bracket of the facade holds the sculptures of 16 opera composers. The small Millennium Underground of pastimes and the way it looks today. Andrássy Avenue most suitably ends in Hero Square. Both sites were built at the same time when the Millennium Monument was erected. The magnificent group of sculptures standing in the square is in fact one of the city's symbols. The Art Gallery and the Museum of Fine Arts stand on opposite sides of Hero Square. The Museum of Fine Arts exhibits a very significant collection of ancient Egyptian and Greek finds. From the 13th to the 18th century, the old collection of sculptures consists of several famous European works of art. In its picture gallery, the works of Goya, El Greco, Raphael, Titian, Rembrandt, Cézanne, Gauguin and Monet are exhibited, among many others. Archangel Gabriel lifts his arms as if protecting Prince Arpad and the mounted chieftains of the conquering Hungarian tribes. The sculptures of Hungarian sovereigns are placed between the columns of the semicircular colonnades. Városliget, the beautiful park of the city, was planned by a French gardener on the site of King Matthias's game reserve. The boating lake was made for the Millennium exhibition and is suitable for rowing in summer. In the winter, however, it is transformed into an ice rink. Vajdahunyad Castle was first built from wood, also for the Millennium exhibition. Its role was to show each architectural style of Hungary at that time by bearing certain details of existing buildings with accurate authenticity. Owing to its great success, the castle was rebuilt from stone after the exhibition. There is a chapel resembling the Church of Jak operating in the castle. The sculpture Anonymous portrays one of the Hungarian kings, Béla III, unnamed Clark, who wrote the Chronicle of Hungary around 1200. The Museum of Agriculture was placed in the Baroque wing of the castle. Széchenyi Bath is one of Europe's biggest spa baths and swimming pools. Its magnificent building was constructed in 1913. The 74 degrees Celsius spa water sprouting here is effective in healing rheumatics, arthritis and problems of the motor system. The treatments here are supplemented with massage, sauna, weight bath and other therapies. The 3 open-air swimming pools with terraces for sunbathers are perfect for the hours of pleasing inactivity. The novelty of the bath is a special pool with sparkling bath, artificial waves and vertical massage. One of the most famous Hungarian restaurants, the more than 100-year-old Gundel, is located only a few steps away from the gate of the zoo. There are 3,500 different animals with 1,500 species of plants in the Zoological and Botanical Garden of Budapest on an area of 16 acres. Part of it was designed by Károly Kós. With the renovation of the Europe-famous Palm House, the reconstruction of the garden is about to come to an end. From the beginning of the 1800s, Városliget operated as a fairground with sideshows, fun fairs and swing boats, attracting tens of thousands of visitors. Now the public is entertained by acrobats in the Great Circus of Budapest. The Ferris wheel, the switchback railway and the roundabout were moved to the present-day fairground next to the zoo. The Museum of Transport is also located in Városliget. The city's old vehicles of public transport, such as the horse tram and the omnibus, together with other historical railway and motoring curiosities, are exhibited here. Zugló is one of Budapest's beautiful green belts. Stefania Street, that was sung in a popular song, is famous together with the palace of the culture house of the Hungarian army. One of the masterpieces of secessionist architecture is the building of the Geological Institute. Népstadion, the large stadium, and many other sports establishments are situated here. Keleti railway station, with its basic area of 7,500 square meters, is the largest railway station of Budapest. It was built at the turn of the century and has become a significant element of the city's look. The river Danube, with its depth of 3 to 9 meters and width of 285 to 640 meters, crosses the heart of Budapest. There are 7 highway bridges and 1 railway bridge over the river within the borders of the city. Szabadság Bridge, connecting Fővám and Gellért squares, is a very spectacular monument. Originally, it was named after Franz Josef and was opened in his presence in the year of 1896. The splendid Elizabeth Bridge, originally built in the style of Szabadság Bridge but with chain structure, was destroyed in the Second World War. The new cable bridge of modern style was finished in 1964 on the same site. Our first permanent bridge over the Danube is Chain Bridge, the most beautiful of all. Built on István Széchenyi's initiative, the construction was led by Adam Clark, according to the plans of English engineers. The iron chains on which the permanent way was suspended are held by two classicist-style pillars, looking like triumph arches. The bridge is a symbol of the city told in numerous anecdotes. Margaret Bridge praises the work of French engineers and architects. The opening of the driveway connecting the bridge with the southern edge of Margaret Island was a great event of its era. The 2,500 meters long Margaret Island is actually a park full of sites lying on an area of 96 acres. Under the island's green leafy boughs, promenades, monuments, restaurants, baths and sports establishments hide. In the Middle Ages it was called the Island of the Rabbits. Several religious orders built their monasteries here, some of which ruins can still be seen today. The grave of Saint Margaret, after whom the island was named, lies between the ruins of the Dominican church and the nunnery. By the middle of the 19th century, the island was transformed into an English park. The spa water brought to the surface in 1867 enhanced the creation of bathing facilities. There is a small Japanese garden with a lake, waterfalls and rock garden at the feet of the two grand hotels next to Arpad Bridge. The reproduction of the musical well of Marosvásárhely is a lovely sight. At the foot of the 52 meters high water tower, there is an open-air theatre accommodating 3,500 spectators. It is not allowed to drive into the island, but there are several means of transport available for visitors. There are 4 swimming pools of different water temperature and purpose in Palatinus Bath, stretching on a long way on the island. Its sulphurous, hydrogen-carbonated spa water of 38 degrees Celsius is suitable for treating diseases of the motor system. The red brick sports swimming pool was built according to the plans of Alfred Hajós, the Hungarian champion swimmer of the first Olympics in Athens. The stadium of the athletics center is in the neighborhood. Árpád Bridge is situated at the northern part of the island. There was a stone bridge here even in the Roman era of Aquincum. The favorite holiday resort of Budapest is Roman Beach in Old Buda, where several water sport establishments, buffets, rest houses, boat houses, campsites and restaurants can be found. It is the paradise of cyclists and paddlers mainly. But also a good place for sunbathers and those who like to drink a pint of beer in the shade. The town hall and the fisherman's garden on the main square preserved a little bit of the former Old Buda atmosphere, described in the writings of Krudi and painted by Ernő Zorad in his watercolors. The Baroque residence of the Zichy family, who were the landlords of Old Buda in the 18th century, is a cultural center today. The silk winder, characteristic of its oval ground plan, is regarded as one of the oldest factories of the country. The amphitheater in Nagyszombat Street was opened up in 1940. Its arena is bigger than that of the Colosseum in Rome. There were military parades, coach races, and gladiator fights organized here. As a proof of the advanced water culture of the Romans, the stage of the arena could be flooded for water battles with the help of a pipeline system. Kiszel was named after the Austrian pilgrimage site Mariazell because the copy of its famous devotional sculpture was placed in a chapel here. Today, in the Museum of Kiszel, the modern exhibition of Budapest History Museum can be seen. It is the vicinity of Kolosi Square where the renewal of Old Buda is the most striking. It is very popular among Budapest citizens and tourists visiting here to make excursions to Kövessenek. The traffic junction that has regained its original beauty serves as a starting point for those who wish to explore the Buda Hills. The Austrian carriages of the Kogui Railway, hardened in the Alps, take us to Széchenyi Hill. Here, the favorite of kids and grown-ups, the Children's Railway awaits the travelers. The reason why it is called so is that there are children working as watchmen and ticket inspectors. The chairs of Libegő lift us up to the lookout tower of János Hill, offering a splendid panorama during the trip. We may enjoy the view of the Buda Hills and Rózsadom on our way down. One of the most magnificent sights of Budapest is the monuments of Buda Castle, being internationally unique and part of World Heritage. The castle here rises 60 meters above the banks of the Danube, providing a marvelous view either from the river and Vérmező or Gellért Hill. The castle used to be the residence of Hungarian sovereigns for centuries, though intermittently. Today it serves cultural and tourist purposes. The National Széchenyi Library, the Hungarian State Archives, and the Board of Listed Buildings operate here. The Castle Theatre and several museums, such as the Military History Museum, the Budapest History Museum, the Institute of Music, and the Hungarian National Gallery are also situated here, together with a Museum of Commerce and Catering and even a Museum of Pharmacy. Entering the castle district through the Viennese Gate, first we catch sight of the Evangelical Church of Buda Castle, then passing the colossal palace of the State Archives, we reach the ruins of Mary Magdalena Church. The garrison chapel, built 750 years ago, was destroyed during the Second World War, and only its tower survived. There is a garden of ruins behind it. The Vérmező side of the 1.5 kilometers long castle district is a pleasant promenade. The houses originate from various historical eras and represent different architectural styles, yet create an entirely harmonious impression. Thanks to the careful renovation of the monuments, several houses partly or wholly regain their medieval look. From under the plasterwork of the Baroque or Classicist buildings, medieval fragments, window frames, or columned capitals are showing. The characteristic feature of the houses here is the Gothic niche with seat. Opinions vary with regard to its purpose. Nevertheless, it is likely that guards used to have a rest here. The building of Hilton Hotel embodies the ruins of St. Nicholas Monastery and the Dominican Court. The Church of Our Lady in Buda Castle, publicly known as Matthias Church, is one of the most outstanding monuments of Hungary. It was built in several stages from the 13th century in Gothic style. King Louis the Great and King Sigmund had the former three-aisled cathedral reconstructed into a one-aisle Gothic church with a hall. King Matthias had it enlarged with the taller tower and the royal choir. The central figure of the main altar, designed in early Gothic style, is the sculpture of the sublime Our Lady. The glass paintings were made according to the sketches of Bertalan Székely. The church was the site of several historical events. It was the place where King Charles Robert was crowned and the scene of King Matthias's two wedding ceremonies. Since the reign of King Sigmund, it had become a tradition to place here the badges and banners captured in military missions. After taking in Buda, the Turkish reconstructed it into a Muslim church. From the middle of the 1800s, it became very significant again. Franz Joseph and Charles IV were crowned here, and many other nationwide events took place here. The magnificent white marble sculpture of Sissi, the queen adored by the Hungarians, is also placed here. In the sarcophagus of the Holy Trinity Chapel next to the vestry, Béla III and his wife Anne Chatillon are buried. Several stone cuttings of the church dating back to the era of Béla III can be seen in the crypt. The red marble coffin hides the bones of the royal tombs of Székesfehérvár. A spiral staircase leads from the crypt to the royal choir, where the chasubles and relics used at coronations are exhibited together with the copy of the Holy Crown. The visitors may get to know a lot of interesting facts at the exhibition. For example, the proven result of the research into the origins of the Hungarian crown revealed that it was prepared by a goldsmith from Armenia. The bastions closing the square behind Matthias Church in the east were built by Frigyes Sulek at the turn of the century. The impressive bastions of neo-Romanesque style, with lookout terraces and towers, were built on the site of the former red brick town walls. In the Middle Ages, there was a fish market in the square next to the church, and that part of the fort was guarded by the Guild of the Fishermen. The bastions built much later were named after them. The Fisherman's Bastion became a significant element of the capital's look. Its characteristics are the archways resembling the courtyards of the Roman age monasteries, the roofed and open staircases, and the peaked roofs without tiles covered with white stone. The main tower and the great stairs are ornamented with the sculptures of the Hungarian chieftains, while the pediment of the Jesuit gate is decorated with the walled-in relief of a Gothic stone lion. The sculpture of the Holy Trinity was erected by the citizens after the Great Plague of 1709. The building of the former Buda town hall is ornamented by the sculpture of Pallas Athena, the guardian of the city. The 95 meters long funicular of Buda Castle, known as the Cable Railway, was built between Clark Adams Square and Sándor Palace as the second of its own in Europe. The Castle Theatre is located in St. George Square. Passing the building, we can reach the fence and forged gate of the palace. Part of the gate is the giant sculpture of the Churul bird, erected in memory of the millennium. The huge bird holding a sword in its talons is the work of Gyula Donát. The palace of Buda Castle stands on the southern part of Castle Hill. The royal residence and the forts protecting it were built under Béla IV after the Tatar disaster. The whole system of defense was constructed during the reign of King Zsigmond. King Matthias created a truly Renaissance court. Almost all sovereigns had the palace reconstructed according to their taste and that of their era. The destruction of the building was started in the Turkish times with the blowing up of the ammunition storage and was fulfilled by the siege of 1686. The palace of today was built during the reign of Maria Theresa, using the remains of the destroyed palace. It was totally renewed after 1945. Many ruins of medieval buildings were discovered then, and the excavations are still in progress. The permanent exhibition of the Royal Palace of Medieval Buddha can be seen in the Budapest History Museum, where the sculptures and fragments found during the excavations are exhibited among others. The Great Hall, built in Gothic style with cross-vaulting, was used as a night hall. The Royal Indoor Chapel has an intimate atmosphere. Part of the facade with counterfort from the Anjou Palace and the stone balcony can be seen in the royal cellar. We leave the museum through the southern palace court in the direction of the Great Rondello Bastion and the Club Tower. At the foot of the castle stands the Deer House, a restaurant originating from the 13th century and still operating today. This magnificent building used to be the engine house of the castle's water supplies. Today it is a casino. The area lying between Gellért Hill and Castle Hill was called Tabán. Unfortunately, it fell victim to the city planning. Now we can see the district of pleasant atmosphere resembling the Grinzing in Vienna, only in photos or paintings. The sculptor of Gellért Bishop lifts his hands as if blessing the city. The popular Gellert Spa Hotel with bath and swimming pool stands at the foot of Gellert Hill. The group of buildings constructed in secessionist style includes a luxury hotel of more than 300 beds, a spa bath, a roofed and an open-air swimming pool, and a lido. Its interiors are built in an artistic fashion with sculptures and mosaics. The radioactive lime hydrogen carbonated spa water is suitable for healing rheumatics and arthritis. Besides the thermal bath, there is a swimming pool with a roof that can be opened, a sparkling bath, and another swimming pool with artificial waves. Its terraces for sunbathers are surrounded by a park abundant in plants, decorated with sculptures and a waterfall. Opposite Gellert Hotel, a special cave chapel is situated on the hillside. Some say that Pest might have been named after this cave, as the medieval name of Gellert Hill of Slavic origin was Pest Hill, and Pest means cave. Let's walk up to the citadel on top of Gellert Hill and bid farewell to Budapest by glancing over the city once again from under the famous Statue of Liberty.